Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Mindset Boost. It's an opportunity for us to just get together and reflect really on the content of our thoughts. That's the foundation of the work, and why I have these weekly sessions is for us to get together and have the opportunity to reflect and be curious about the content of our thoughts, mostly because we are humans. We have the negativity bias, so we will most likely rather focus on negative things and have negative thoughts than positive thoughts. And I'm not suggesting that we always need to be positive and just replace negative thoughts with positive ones. I know that that's not possible, and it cannot actually necessarily be helpful either. But it's really to be more aware of when we get stuck in negative thoughts, the looping of negative thoughts that can consume our emotions and even how we feel physically. And this week, I want us to examine our thoughts through the lens of mistrust. Can be quite a subtle one, and that's why I just want to shed some light on that tendency, a very common tendency this week. Again, of course, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be realistic and face certain truths. Maybe you have a friend who's taking advantage of you, and you have to be wary and also act wisely, maybe draw boundaries, or maybe you're aware that your partner isn't loyal, and to be positive in a situation like that can be helpful, but it still means that you need to also face some real truths. So the mistrust that I'm speaking about is more a pervasive relationship that you have to yourself, maybe mistrusting yourself and the outside world. And like I say, it can show up quite prominently or quite obviously, maybe through jealousy or aggression. So that's when we are more in the fight mode, where we want to address things head on, sort it out, can be with quite an aggressive tone even. The other way how mistrust can show up is actually in a more avoidant matter. So that's where you maybe avoid voicing things or speaking to people. You may just really be in your head more, have conversations or thoughts or ideas in your head, but you don't actually act on them. So that can also be a sign of mistrust. That's the more flight response that we have to stress, and in this case, mistrust. Another way how mistrust can show up is where we actually take a lot of action, but we do it more for other people. So that can be that maybe you don't trust yourself, that you can achieve something, but you're always supporting and helping other people to achieve their goals. Or you don't trust another person to do things for themselves, and you end up doing it for them. It can also happen that mistrust show up as you just being quite dismissive. I'm using my hands because I want to do that sort of sign. That's where we just want to keep everyone and everything out because of mistrust. Maybe that you don't trust yourself, that you are able to deal with things coming your way, or that you also struggle to trust other people, and because of the fear of disappointment, that you can be quite rigid and really just keep people out. That's, for me, is based on the dismissive attachment style that we can get. So I've used like a blend of fight, flight, freeze responses, and also brought in attachment theory here, just to explain some of the types or the ways that I see people deal with pervasive mistrust in their lives. I will put out these different types in the content below so that you can carefully go through it as well. But I want us to now just to take a moment, just close our eyes, do a bit of breathing, and then you can just reflect on this past week and just maybe become aware of where in subtle ways mistrust came up for you. Even if you notice that you've been maybe quite frustrated or angry or lashing out this week, maybe you didn't even realize that beneath that behavior is actually a feeling of mistrust. So as always, when we do this work, so important that you have compassion for yourself, also compassion for others. And I think it's easy for us to throw around words like, oh, she's got trust issues, or I'm feeling so insecure. That is a label actually, and it doesn't actually help us to observe ourselves in a wise and compassionate way. So let's just reflect a bit before we end today's session. You can close your eyes. And always good just to ground yourself by becoming aware of your feet on the floor. And if you're sitting on a chair or wherever you're sitting, just become aware that your body is supported wherever you are sitting. And then just focus on the breath by the nose and the mouth. See if you can allow the eyelids to feel heavy on the eyes. Allow the eye muscles also to relax. Allow the jaw to relax and the lips. Moving your attention to the shoulders, allowing the shoulders to feel heavy. And then just placing your attention on the stomach. And just notice the rise and fall of the stomach as you breathe in and out. And then still with your eyes closed, I want you just to think about the last couple of days. And with this inquiry, where did mistrust maybe show up in my life these past couple of days? Maybe I avoided something that's actually important to me. Or maybe I couldn't express myself clearly. Maybe I felt quite frozen or paralyzed and didn't know what to do. Maybe I can remember that I was actually quite aggressive or frustrated. Or maybe there was a situation, or there is maybe a relationship where you tend to do quite a lot for that person. Maybe it is linked to a mistrust. And I want you just to observe yourself in this situation. Notice how it feels in the body when you're maybe trapped or consumed by mistrust. And then see if you can get to what it is that you're believing about yourself or the other person. What is the piece, the root of the mistrust here? What is it that's lacking in this situation? What do you feel you lack or the other person? What is it that you can't rely on? And then you can just take one nice deep breath in through the nose, hold it at the top, and then just let it out. Okay, so once we get to the beliefs that are actually looping in our minds, that is the root of the feeling of mistrust, what do we do then? Well, we can deliberately shift our attention to a thought that can be more empowering or that can bring some sense of security in a situation where we do feel insecure. So it's not just simply think something positive, but what truth can you reach for in this situation that can give you a sense of agency? Maybe it is something like you are aware of a situation that's fearful to you and you are avoiding it. Okay, so instead of the one extreme where you're completely avoiding it, you can maybe remind yourself of small steps or a plan that you can start to work out that can help you to address something or help you to feel safer in a situation. So it can be something like, even though I feel quite fearful or insecure, I can maybe try this or I can try that. So it's to see if you can use words and thoughts that are more balanced instead of going the one extreme where you're completely avoiding it or the other extreme where you are maybe completely trying to control it in a quite a fighting way. This is, of course, something that you can continue to work on, continue to practice, but I hope that today's session just gave you that little bit of awareness into mistrust and also just ways how you can be a bit more proactive in those situations. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.